Hello, welcome to theCUBE's live coverage here. We're Databricks, Data Plus AI Summit in San Francisco. I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE. We are in the Lake House. This is the Lake House Media Studio. theCUBE's got a little corner of it. Obviously Databricks has their live from the Lake House live feed. Check that out, they got a great schedule, and we're thankful for Databricks for allowing us to do our CUBE coverage here for 2 days, and then we're going to go back to the press room and do wall-to-wall coverage. Got a great guest here. We got an AI influencer, Vini Jaiswal, who's here. She was just on the Databricks live from the Lake House. Vini, thanks for coming on. You're an AI and data influencer. You work at ByteDance now, you worked at Databricks before. Great to have you on.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure. Thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity.
Well, great to see you. I love to hear the story that you're seeing developing right now. One of the things we've been tracking is how data and open source are kind of coming together, and we coined the term data developer. This idea that a new persona is going to emerge out of open source, where data is going to be part of their coding, like in the CI/CD pipeline, where you got the refactoring of like this lakehouse philosophy, platform engineering, the emergence of data products, catalogs and all kinds of cool things, and then just developers coding on top of it.
Yeah.
That's the new emergence. I mean, this is the younger generation. They're loving this, and 12,000 people in there.
Exactly, yeah, it's exciting times. And I was honored to be a part of that momentum, how the technologies were developed. So I come from the open source. I was at the Citibank before, I worked there for 5 years, and I worked on a lot of innovation projects, ranging from cloud, and we were talking about Hadoop. So we ran Hadoop migrations to Apache Spark. That's how I got introduced to Spark community, and it has never stopped.
Yeah, what a great history. It's kind of like history. We're like historians now. That seems like so long ago. Let's talk about what you're seeing now, because there's so much new stuff emerging. Obviously, generative AI is really cool. I mean, that's like it feels like a generational shift. It's like a shot of adrenaline for the community, because so much more is happening. And then the role of data nerds are like out there moving up the ranks, coding, building, creating new startups.
Exactly. I would call it as like, since AI is a gold rush, data is the gold. Because whoever has that data is gonna win the race, or maybe like be at the forefront, because data is very crucial to whatever AI applications we build. So that's what I'm seeing, and I think open source allows basically for everybody to come together and democratize the access. So now everybody can use that software. That's what ChatGPT did. They open sourced their software, and now they're having feedback from all over the world. Basically, they are making their own app intelligent, and a lot of products are being built on that. Similarly, like every other company is now in that phase where they are looking into open source, and we talked about delta sharing. I worked on few projects.
Explain just one of your projects.
Definitely. So I joined Databricks when it was very small. We were very few hundred employees, and whatever you see now, we have like Unity catalog, delta sharing, ML flow. Now this keynote announcement this morning, we had AI, Lakehouse AI, which was exciting. This is all built from the feedback that data pioneers give us. They tell us what to build next, and that's the beauty of open source, because you get to get feedback from developers, what they want to build next, what challenges they are running into, and open source actually allows us to overcome those challenges. That's what generative AI is doing.
I like the Delta Lake. I love the Lakehouse IQ they announced. The idea that data is your intellectual property. Talk about gold. You got to store that gold somewhere. Someone's going to steal the gold. You want to make sure you're harvesting the right data, but also using the data, not giving it away.
Exactly.
Ali was very hardcore on stage in a good way, saying, hey, your data is your IP, know how to handle it. Amazon's also saying the same thing with how they're handling their VPCs and keeping things nice and tight, licensing issues. So there's a lot of kind of like details that when you the buzz comes off, you're like, okay, now I got a compliance, I got to do all this work. People want it to be easy.
Exactly. I think that's why platforms are emerging now. instead of open source, a lot of like on top of open source, people are building platforms. So it's easier for people to manage and get their applications running in production much more faster. And if you heard the keynote this morning, there was a concept that was announced, which was AI Gateway, MLflow AI Gateway. So if you use that, there is another layer which allows the protection of that data. And because we want to make sure that PII data is captured, sometimes if you ask ChatGPT a question, you might accidentally type in some sensitive information, and we want to make sure anybody who is providing software, they can kind of take care of that. And I also heard throughout this conference that a lot of people are getting confused with all the tools. Like now they have to manage OpenAI, now they have to manage Bard. Where is the intersection? So it was great announcement that they have Gateway, so that only one credential gets used and you have access to all of your apps in one place. And I think that's the trend I see in the open source as well. Yeah. People are building AI marketplace or some kind of like a platform where everybody can click and use the apps. So that is exciting.
Vini, what are you hearing in the hallways here? As an influencer, you have your ear to the ground, you're watching everyone, you're posting content. You're in navigation, helping people figure out things like which models to work on. What are you hearing most? Are we in kind of a discovery mode? How would you assess the current psychology of the developers, the market? What are you hearing?
Yeah, so in fact, ChatGPT had the most adoption within like first few weeks, and still only 70% of the population has heard about the technology. And what I also hear is now all the companies are making technology shift in their hiring process. So they are adding ChatGPT knowledge or skills to their skill requirements, which is going to be the next big thing. So I think one of the useful things for everybody is learn some AI skill or generative AI, and there are a lot of good courses. So I work with academia and LinkedIn and Coursera, all these companies too. So we can launch some, make it easy for people to understand, and it is going to impact it. And I think you asked about discovery mode or where it is. Right now, everybody is trying to figure out where to go next. What can I do? Like which skills I can learn to make sure that I'm running that product. I think that's the phase we are at. People are aware, they need to learn, and it's already here. Like every company is talking about it. They are actively building the projects. Just in 1 or 2 months, I have seen ChatGPT version of each AI company. Like they are launching that product, you know?
We have our Cube AI product too.
Yeah.
I mean, AI is data, and this is going to be an application. I am so excited about this trend. I think I've never been more excited than anything I can remember before at this level. Even the .com area, the web, and even the PCs, which I loved back then. And Ali kind of walked through that. This is a generational new thing. Anyone under the age of 30 certainly is all over this.
Yeah.
And even older entrepreneurs and executives are obviously seeing the big aha moment. So we're excited to see what comes next, and I'm excited to find out how your influence is going and how the things that you're working on. How do you see that coming together? I mean, the young people are like, this is a revolution.
Yeah, I think I just like the technology, and I'm super passionate about data and AI. Since 11 years, I have been working in this space, and never a dull moment. My family tells me, like, can you just take a moment and just...
not talk about data and AI?
Yeah.
No.
Everybody I talk to, it's data and AI, and I think...
I'm the same way.
Yeah, and I want to pick people up and make sure that they are aware of it, and that's why I'm working with foundations like Linux Organization as well as Grace Hopper. So I'm a co-chair at Grace Hopper. So we are building this open source day at Grace Hopper conference, which is a very popular, diverse movement for the community. And I'm working with Google, Microsoft, OpenAI, a lot of different companies to bring their projects so that next generation can get hands-on and they can get their inputs, because there is Gen Z population. So we have to make sure we incorporate their feedback as well, what they think about it, and equip them with whatever the latest technologies are.
I always say to the Gen Z, and that generation. You can solve all the problems that we caused you with AI now, instead of it being so negative. I mean, I don't think this whole negativity around regulation, I don't think that's real. I think most people that I talk to, they go, okay, yeah, we got to be safe, but no one's really thinking about it that much. And I don't think it's appropriate right now to think of it that way. I think right now, if the horse doesn't come out of the barn, then there's never going to be good AI. So we got to get it out there. Once it's out there, then I think it's responsible to watch it, but not try to restrict the early organic growth of AI. And right now, the creativity is at an all-time high. You're seeing great leaders like Ali and others stepping up to the plate. It's a race. Even Amazon, Microsoft going at it. Developers are emerging. It's really...
and one more thing to that, to add to that is I was at Linux conference, and I'm in like most of the open source conferences we can imagine. So whenever I see companies building their open source strategy, so I also work at ByteDance, and we are building this open source function at ByteDance to make sure that we are at the forefront. We bring our tools to the community, and everybody is realizing that there is a lot of meaning to open source, and they want to get on that ride. And I think another part about governance that you said, delta sharing is one of them. So delta sharing allows a recipient and sender to have a very encrypted communication, and that's a very necessary thing for the next generation. So I used to work at Citibank. It's funny, this morning there was a keynote from JP Morgan, which was a similar story for Citibank as well. We have to make sure that all our data discoverability is one of the things that big corporations face, and delta sharing is going to help with that.
In every movement I've been involved in, that's been a real revolution. There's always been a de facto standards kind of moment where people come together, and I think Ollie's ending the format wars is a good gesture. We saw it with TCP/IP and networking, the PC, open computer model there. Open wins. Never bet against open source, ever. That's now standard. It's not even like, open source is the software industry.
Exactly.
There's nothing else, so.
Yeah, I had actually a great honor to be a part of his company, and I still follow him, and he's a great mentor. He kind of has it, like whenever he talks to Ben Horowitz as well, I like to have pick up those conversations, what they are seeing in the acquisition and investor market. It's very insightful conversations whenever we sit with them.
Ali's a great CEO, great person, good friend of theCUBE, and thank you for coming on theCUBE.
Thank you so much. It was such an honor. Thank you for letting me talk about AI and open source.
Our pleasure. AI influencers, we got theCUBE hosts, theCUBE Collective, getting all the data here at Databricks event, Data plus AI. theCUBE's got our own AI, we're building our own language model. AI is just new software, and it has data built in, data native. This is an all new wave coming. We are here on the ground covering it. I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE. Thanks for watching. We'll be right back with our next guest after this short break.